Tonight, the murder of a young man in Centennial is being linked to suspects in a string of violent, racially motivated crimes in Denver.
Andrew Graham was found shot to death near his home in Centennial last November. CBS 4 investigator Brian Moss has learned two people who confessed to attacks in downtown Denver were not immediately arrested or charged. And Brian, now those two people are being connected to Graham's murder.
And it's important to note that the timeline we've constructed here really derives from information that came from police documents in Denver. We've learned that the two suspects in racial assaults in Denver were not arrested, only to end up as suspects months later in the murder of Andrew Graham in Centennial. The question now, if police had cases against these two, why weren't they immediately taken off the streets? Alan Ford and Clarissa Lockhart are both in jail on multiple felony charges, including bias-related crimes stemming from racially motivated attacks in Denver last year. Law enforcement sources now say Ford and Lockhart are believed connected to the murder of Andrew Graham last November. Neither has been charged, neither is believed to be the actual shooter. Graham, a 23-year-old college student, was killed by a gunshot November 5th as he was walking to his Centennial home. Investigators believe it was random and racially motivated, and they now suspect Lockhart and Ford in the case. CBS 4 has learned that at least 2 months earlier, Denver detectives interviewed these two, who admitted their part in some of the 26 violent, racially motivated robberies in Denver. Additionally, co-conspirators implicated Ford and Lockhart in various attacks. Even so, neither was immediately charged.
We did surveillance, followed people.
In late November, Denver's police chief and DA named Ford and Lockhart as among 36 suspects arrested or wanted for the Denver attacks. The announcement came months after the pair had confessed and 3 weeks after Andrew Graham was gunned down. Here's the timeline on gang member Alan Ford. Denver detectives interviewed Ford September 17th. He admitted being involved in multiple downtown assaults, including this one August 2nd. Gang members threw a white victim through a door in Lodo. Ford told detectives he walked up to the white male and without provocation punched him in the face. Then he stole money out of the man's pockets. After his confession, Ford was not arrested. On October 13th, two gang members corroborated Ford's confession. Alan Ford was still not arrested. Then, a full 2 months after he confessed, Andrew Graham was gunned down in Centennial, and investigators now suspect Ford of being involved. Now to Clarissa Lockhart. She admitted involvement in a robbery September 4th on the 16th Street Mall, partly caught on camera. By the next day, one of the attackers told detectives Lockhart was looking for someone to rob and was wilding out this night. Police then interviewed Lockhart September 8th. She confessed to participating in the attempted robbery. Lockhart was not arrested or charged. 2 months after she confessed, Andrew Graham was dead, and investigators suspect Lockhart was one of as many as 5 suspects in that murder. Privately, some law enforcement contacts question releasing Ford and Lockhart after their confessions, only to round them up months later.
They've been working on this for 6 or 7 months.
Mayor Hickenlooper has defended how police handled their investigation of the racial attacks.
But they kept this so tight because they wanted to use one kid to get to another kid. They wanted to bring down this whole kind of extended gang at one time. And I think they've done, obviously, a very good job at doing that.
A spokesman for the mayor says his position is the same. He has great confidence in the police department. Denver police say since these cases have been filed with the DA's office, they cannot comment on this new information and why Ford and Lockhart were not immediately arrested or charged. A spokesperson for the Denver DA's office said she could not talk specifically about these cases, but she said, in general, a confession alone is not enough to file a criminal charge. There is additional information and evidence that would be needed as part of a case file to appropriately review and then determine if a criminal charge is fileable and just what that charge would be. We contacted both Lockhart and Ford in jail, and both declined to speak to us. Several Denver police officers behind the scenes say that these are legitimate questions to ask, but they say obviously nobody could have predicted what happened with Andrew Graham's case in Centennial, and nobody could have predicted that Denver suspects would be involved.
All right. Thanks, Brian.